So for decades, we've equated bleeding gums with one single thing. You're not brushing or you're not flossing enough. But what if that's not the whole story? What if bleeding gums are an early sign, not of poor hygiene, but of poor metabolic health? Because when you zoom out, you realize gingivitis isn't just a localized issue, it's systemic. And one of the biggest drivers is insulin resistance. So, welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Mark Shankman. I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. You are watching the Obesity Project, episode 69, Bleeding Gums. It might be your metabolic health, not your toothbrush. So, let's talk about the link between insulin resistance and gum disease. So, here's the data. People with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to develop periodontal disease or gum disease. Now, why, you might ask? Because of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance increases chronic systemic inflammation. It weakens capillary integrity and healing capacity. The capillaries are the smallest blood vessels that provide nutrients to the individual cells. And so right at the gum line is where you're going to be most susceptible to those capillary integrity and healing capacity. Alters immune cell response to plaque bacteria. So your immune system isn't working as well at fighting off that plaque bacteria that you were able to fight off earlier, and impairs collagen synthesis in those gum tissues, in that gingival tissue. So there was a landmark study in diabetes care in 2010, which confirmed that poor glycemic control is strongly associated with periodontal disease severity. This was an article and a study by Mealy and Oates. Let's talk about a clinical example. So I've treated plenty of patients with perfect dental hygiene, great brushing, great flossing, routine cleanings, but persistent gum bleeding. And when we looked deeper, we found elevated A1Cs, fasting insulin, and signs of metabolic dysfunction. Well, once their insulin came down, so did the bleeding. So, insulin resistance doesn't just inflame tissues, it also creates a breeding ground for pathologic bacteria. So, chronically high glucose levels do a couple things. They increase glucose in saliva and gingival crevicular fluid. So that's the fluid at the gum line and in that little pocket around the teeth that your dentist may have described. High glucose levels also feed certain bacteria like Porphyromonas gingivalis, Tannerella forsythia, and other anaerobes, so other bacteria that like to hide away from oxygen and are actually killed in the presence of oxygen. So these are the bacteria that cause deeper infections. And high glucose levels also increase production of pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 1B, TNF alpha, and CRP. In a 2012 paper in the Journal of Clinical Periodontology showed that elevated HbA1c or hemoglobin A1c is directly correlated with higher levels of periodontal pathogens or bad bacteria and inflammatory markers, like the ones I just mentioned a few seconds ago. So it's a double hit. You're not only feeding the bad bacteria, but you're also weakening your ability to fight them off. So your mouth isn't separate from your body. It's the front line. And a lot of things show up in the mouth early on before they show up later on in various other areas of the body. And just like skin tags and high triglycerides or PCOS, bleeding gums are often an early sign that something is wrong metabolically. And there was a study in BMJ Open Diabetes Research in 2020 that found that even in non-diabetic patients, insulin resistance predicted higher periodontal inflammation scores, and regardless of the patient's brushing habits. This was a study by Saito et al. In 2020. So let me give you an analogy. Think of your gums like that canary in the coal mine. They bleed not because you forget to floss, but because the system is inflamed at the root. So deep down, root cause your gums are inflamed because of this insulin resistance. So here's the good news. You can reverse all of this. Steps to stop the bleeding at the source. So let's talk about some of the steps we can take. First off, cut out those refined carbs and sugars, which is the fuel for inflammation. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but any diet, no matter what diet you're doing, first and foremost, you want to get rid of those refined carbs and sugars. Next, you want to normalize insulin levels through low carbohydrate or ketogenic diet. And of course, many of you know I'm on the carnivore diet. Carnivore is just a sort of a more extreme ketogenic diet. So low carb ketogenic diet will absolutely bring those insulin levels down. And then third, you need to focus on nutrient dense foods that support healing, things like meat or eggs or organ meat. You want to optimize vitamin D and omega-3s for immune system balance. And of course, let's not forget the obvious one is to maintain oral hygiene, but you don't only want to focus there. If you fix the terrain, the mouth will follow. So this has been episode 69 of the Obesity Project. Bleeding gums? It might be your metabolic health, not your toothbrush. So we've been taught that oral diseases live in the mouth. But the truth is your mouth often shows us what's happening under the surface or under the hood, so to speak. So if your gums are red, swollen, or bleeding, don't just reach for that mouthwash or the floss or the toothbrush. Reach for metabolic healing, because when the signal is right, the tissues, they can recover. So thanks for watching. Make sure to fix the signal. Protect your mouth by protecting your metabolism. So thank you so much for watching this episode. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time and attention. Make sure to like, share, and comment. Let's share the video. Let's get the video out. Let's make sure that lots of people are understanding that their bleeding gums may be something deeper down, a root cause, so to speak. Pardon the pun there. And make sure that you hit that subscribe button and you hit that bell notification to keep getting great content from me, whenever videos come out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.